welcome to a podcast about something where each week we dive deep into whatever it is we find interesting. I'm your host, Calvin, and joining me from a moon on Titan, it's Nick Richardson.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's pretty nice out here.
Well, that moon's about to smash into Titan and destroy Tony Stark.
It's a beautiful view. We'll bring it on. Watch it come.
Not for long, it's not going to be. So we are talking MCU today. We're talking MCU movie superlatives. We're getting amped for Endgame. At the end, we'll give some thoughts on what we think is going to happen in Endgame. Just a few, not too much. This is coming out before Endgame, so there's no spoilers because we haven't seen it yet.
Nope. And I will say this: there's been a rumor of spoilers coming out.
I have seen some leaks, and I've avoided them completely.
Avoid those, guys. Don't let it ruin your fun time.
That's terrible. I don't know the people who look at leaks. I don't get it. Why?
Yeah.
Why do you want that?
Especially don't spread them, because if I see your fucking leak, I will kick your ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, movie superlatives. We have 20 movies in the MCU now? 21?
22, I thought.
22 movies in the MCU. All of them are up for grabs for these superlatives. We can pick one award per movie and one movie per award. No repeatsies, no take backsies. And we're gonna give out some awards.
Yeah, no triple stamping a double stamp.
Can't triple stamp a double stamp. Can't triple stamp a double stamp.
Lloyd! But I'm really excited to get into this. We actually have a super broad pool to choose from, and they're all pretty. I mean, there's some stinkers in there.
I had a really hard time not picking Spider-Man for everyone, but we can't. That's why the rules exist. So, like I said, we're giving out superlatives. This is kind of like your high school yearbook superlatives. We just give kind of made up awards to movies that fit the topic, and today's topic is MCU. So the awards we will be giving out are Best Hero, obviously. Best Villain, obviously. Best Ability or Powers, which to me I thought different from Best Hero. Best Hero is like favorite hero, and Best Ability and Powers, to me I picked the person who I thought was most powerful, not necessarily the powers I would most likely have.
Mm-hmm.
Best Alien, which is just pretty much anyone who's not a human. And Best Movie. So we got a lot of good stuff to get into. Let's start it off the right way with Best Hero. You go first.
Okay, my best hero, the way I looked at it is, I think, I'll just say it. The best hero is Captain America.
I almost had him because I had my actual guy for a different thing, but I switched it up at the last minute. Go for it.
He was my first and foremost. He's not my favorite character by any means. I think he's pretty vanilla, but I think he is one of those few characters that you could define as a true hero. Like he doesn't have,
like he's the definition of a hero.
Exactly. He doesn't have those moments of weakness. He sticks to his guns. He fights for his friends. Like he's the epitome of a true hero, and I think that's what makes him the best hero. Like he inspired millions. He saved tons of lives. Probably killed only a few people, which is,
he hit him with a shield. Does that really kill people? I don't know.
He's busted out a whole lot of teeth and caved in a ton of chests with those Spartan kids.
Yeah. There's a lot of people in the hospital because of him, at the very least. But I like that pick. Like you said, he is the epitome of a hero. You see it in the trailers. Whatever it takes. Like we don't stop. Basically,
no.
We're going to fight because fighting's what we do, and the world needs us to fight. If we're not there, we can't fight.
It's what we have to do. He's trying to pick on the little guy, and we're not going to let that happen.
Right. And, it's Captain America's story is so great because he comes from being the little guy, and that's why he was picked for the Super Soldier program, is because he wanted to be a hero even though he was physically incapable of being a hero. So then they turned that and gave him the powers to actually be a hero, and instead some people that would corrupt them, a la Red Skull, a la Winter Soldier, but instead, for Steve Rogers, it enhanced that feeling in him. Like he knew now that he has the power, he has to be the hero he needs to be and always wanted to be.
He rose to the mantle, and he did that in every facet of his game. And I wish, and I'm sad to say, I don't think this is a spoiler, but I'm pretty sure the Captain
we'll be spoiling the rest of the MCU, just not in game.
Yeah, I think these movies have built Captain up. I think he's going to die.
Yeah, probably.
The only thing I think that's fine, but the only thing I would like to see is him interacting with younger, like the new generation.
Yeah, like instilling some of this in them before he passes on.
Exactly. Like
he's had some time with Black Panther, but we don't get to see any of that. So hopefully we get I agree. I'd like to see some of that.
That would be cool, but I don't know if that'll happen. So say they bring everyone back from the snap. Like I'd love to get to see Captain and Peter Parker interact. Like I think that would be really cool. But I don't think that'll happen, sadly.
No, and Peter Parker is pretty much in Tony Stark's corner,
all day, every
forever.
Day.
Yeah. So that's going to be more that way, I think. But Captain America has always been probably my second favorite hero in comics, maybe third. Him and Batman are close. Spider-Man's my favorite, and we'll get to that in a minute. But Captain America always just I don't know. I like the costume. I like his relationship with Bucky. And with the Winter Soldier comeback and all of that, that's a cool storyline. So I've just always liked Captain America because he's just that true blue hero. His defining quality is that he's a hero in the same way that Superman is, but he's not so overpowered like Superman.
Yeah, he's not OP.
He's still a person. He's a superpowered person, but he's still a person. Superman is not a person. Superman's indestructible unless you have a green rock around him.
Yeah, faster than a speeding bullet, can leap tall buildings in a single bound. That ain't Captain.
Yeah.
And I will say, I never really, like I said, I thought Captain was pretty vanilla, but I became a fan during the Avengers vs. X-Men storyline, where he just, he kind of bulldozes the X-Men, and it's great to see him whoop the shit out of Cyclops. Like, that was so satisfying.
Yeah, it's always satisfying to see Cyclops get the shit beat out of him. That's why everybody in X3, everybody got mad that he got unceremoniously killed off screen by Jean Grey, and I'm like, nah, get him the fuck out of here. Nobody likes Cyclops. Come on.
Yeah, no, not even in the new movies either. I think he still sucks.
Yeah, and Chris Evans just does a perfect job as Captain America too. I don't know that I was skeptical because I like Chris Evans. Like, he even did a good Johnny Storm. And he was good in The Losers. He's good at that. He's a comic book fan, so he has this background in it, and he just came in and stole the role.
Yeah, he's like Hugh Jackman for Wolverine. He is the best cast you could have had.
All of the Phase 1 heroes are. You look at Chris Hemsworth as Thor. You look at I can't even say his real name. Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. Other than Terrence Howard as Rhodey, Don Cheadle's much better.
Yeah, they've had some serious continuity.
Yeah, that's okay. We don't need Terrence Howard in our MCU.
He was a bitch about that. Whatever.
Yeah, he was. So my best hero is obviously Spider-Man from Spider-Man: Homecoming. Nice. You gotta say the movie you're picking because I gotta make sure that you don't double up on movies here.
Okay.
So it's against the rules, Nick.
So for Captain America, it was the first Avenger.
Okay, cool. You might have been using it from Age of Ultron or Civil War. I don't know. Spider-Man Homecoming. This is kind of the same thing of, without getting fed the line, with great power comes great responsibility, Peter Parker and Spider-Man still live up to that mantra at every chance he gets. Tony...
I agree, dude. I love their rendition of Spider-Man
Tom
and
Holland's
Peter Parker.
Perfect too.
So perfect, man. I liked his introduction in Civil War more than I liked Homecoming, just because of the hype and how well they executed him in Civil War. That was so fucking awesome.
He was so great in Civil War. I changed my mind. It's not Spider-Man from Spider-Man Homecoming. It's Spider-Man from Civil War. I don't have Civil War on the rest of my list, so I can pick that.
That was just such top flight. I remember sitting in my seat. I'm like, oh my god, he's back! Yes,
I wish they didn't show him in the previews. I wish they had held on to that. That'd have been cool.
That would have been awesome. But glad they didn't.
Even the first time I saw that
lines.
preview where Tony calls him out under ruse and he comes up, that was so cool to see him and just his eyes shrinking. And then what got me in Civil War in the airport battle when he just caught the Winter Soldier's arm out of thin air,
whoa,
bam.
Dude.
Well, not even his great quip. They're writing him perfectly. All his quips are right on. But just the fact that he could catch the Winter Soldier's arm and is just completely unfazed by it.
Well, I mean, in the comics, I want to say he can lift 3 ton or some crazy shit like that.
It's a lot.
And when he stops Cole Obsidian, in Infinity War, he stops his pickaxe, whatever thing. And, oh, hey, Mr. Stark. Yeah, he has that ridiculous strength.
His strength is, he's so strong, and they do a good job of understating it in this. Like, that's a big thing in the comics, is whenever he's fighting somebody like Doc Ock, they make a point to mention that he has to pull his punches, or like he's always sick before he goes into the battle, so he's not, going at full speed, and he always has this inner monologue of, they're lucky I'm not going at full speed, otherwise I'd fucking kill him every time.
Exactly. And I think that makes him such a good hero.
You get that from the MCU, of that, like, he could knock these people out in a single punch, but he doesn't, because that's part of the great responsibility that comes with his power of, like, I can't just kill people because I can punch really hard.
Yeah, exactly.
This does a much better job of capturing that than either the two previous versions of Spider-Man did, of that he's so strong when he needs to be.
So strong, and I think you said it perfectly. The little subtle nods to it work great, because you see that persona of the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. You see that Peter Parker just wants to help people. Like, that's what being a hero is all about. Like, there isn't a I want to hurt someone in his body, even though he could. I mean, he could make it real. I'm sure he could have. I'm glad they didn't address it in this version of the movies, but I'm sure he could have found Uncle Ben's killer and just straight up murdered him. He may have.
Which he did in the Raimi version. He didn't murder him, but he practically pushed him out a window.
I mean, he pushed him out a window. Well,
no, he flinched at him out a window. He just moved his head at him. He didn't actually. Yeah. But yeah, Spider-Man. He just everything he does is, the perfect embodiment of a hero, just like Captain America. And you can tell he's in over his head, but at the same time, he's never in over his head. Like,
he's never afraid to take shit on.
As a 15, 16-year-old, like, he knows he shouldn't be in this situation, but he'll catch a dude's metal arm. He'll take down the Falcon. He'll take down Giant Man. He'll go after the Vulture on his own when Stark won't help him. He'll just dive right into the fight against the aliens to help the wizards. He's just always there when a fight's going down, because somebody needs to fight.
He's got their backs, like, they're his heroes, and with such a corny saying.
It's not,
with great power comes great responsibility.
It's not. It's only corny because it's corny.
It's only corny because it's been said so many times.
It makes sense though, and it's right, and that's what Spider-Man is.
Oh,
Spider-Man is not Spider-Man without that line, and that's why it needs to be said over and over again. And I actually think it's a little bit of a disservice that they didn't say the line, because it's important.
You gotta say it at least once, but it's just...
And Into the Spider-Verse even hints at it. Like, his dad says the line wrong, but that even keeps with it, because Into the Spider-Verse is happening in Miles' universe, which is not the 616 universe, it's the Ultimate Universe. So technically there's no Uncle Ben. Like, I guess there was an Uncle Ben that had died, but the great power, great responsibility thing didn't come out in the same way. So they're like, it hints at it, but it's not there. Right.
Yeah. I would have picked, he's my favorite hero, but I just think Captain's the best hero.
I get it. Yeah. And it's more fun when we don't say the exact same thing.
Yeah, it's never that as much fun. But Spider-Man, love it.
Good choice. Best heroes, Captain America, Spider-Man.
Dang.
Mark it down. And then we got best villain. I go first on this one. I'm going a little off the board here. I'm taking Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp.
What?
So let me back it up. I liked Ghost because she had a reason to be the villain she was. She was the hero of her own story. She was doing the things and that's what makes a good villain. The villain has to be the hero of their own story, because that's what gives them depth and importance. If they're just there to be bad, that's a problem. And we just talked about Game of Thrones on our Patreon exclusive. That's one of the things with the Night King. He's just this force of evil that has no, the Army of the Dead is marching because the Army of the Dead marches, and it's winter. It's not because they have an ulterior motive. The Night King is not the hero of his story in any way. He's, at least according to the creators of the show,
he's just evil.
He's just evil. He's just attacking to attack. He's just attacking to grow his army. Once his army is at full capacity, what happens then? It doesn't matter. That's not a good villain in my mind.
Dude, I totally agree with your justification for choosing her, 100%.
And she has a dope-ass power.
Yeah, super dope.
Being able to phase in and out, and I guess she can't really control it, but she's a trained assassin. She can phase in and out of physical space. That's cool to me. I really liked
cool.
Ghost.
Yeah, I didn't jive with me. I don't know why. I don't know if it was the actress.
Well, you're wrong, and I hate you.
Hey, fuck me, right?
Yeah.
But every time I looked at her, I could not help but think
the actress was a little hard to. I don't really like her. She was in Ready Player One too, and
I just looked at her.
I'm
like,
blow my skirt up.
That's Ann Perkins, even though it wasn't the same actress, Rashida Jones. It's
would have been dope if it was Ann Perkins.
I would have stopped thinking about it so much, but that's all I could think about. It's like, oh my god, this lady looks like Ann Perkins.
That would have been super distracting if that's Rashida Jones in that role. I'd have just been waiting for her to like go on a run with Chris Traeger.
Leslie. But I thought she was a perfect foil for Janet Van Dyne's Wasp.
Yes.
So I in the the greater scheme of things, totally agree with you 100%.
So take it as within her own movie universe. Now she's not Thanos, obviously, but in the universe of just that movie, she's a great villain.
Yeah, she's like a third-tier villain in the greater scheme of things.
Right, but for the protagonist in Ant-Man and the Wasp, she's a great foil.
Yes, definitely. Big time. I mean, her powers are perfectly catered to that whole movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why they put her in the movie, I think.
Yeah. I love
Kevin
that movie.
Feige knows what he's doing.
Fuck yeah, he does. I have total trust in that motherfucker. 100%.
Yeah, I really liked Ant-Man and the Wasp. We did a whole episode. This was before you came on. Me and Eric did a whole episode of Ant-Man and the Wasp. Go back and check that out if you want more thoughts of why Ghost is cool, because she is. All right, save us. Give us a real best villain.
Okay, I have a best villain, and then I'm just gonna say it. Okay, mine's a little off the rails. So here's my best.
Is it Ghost
villain.
from Ant-Man and the Wasp?
It is. How did you know?
She's so cool. Notes. She can phase in and out of the physical space. All right, go ahead.
On my sheet of paper, it's just my choice is crossed out, and it just says Ghosts and all fucked up letters. No, my favorite best villain, in my opinion, is Baron Zemo. Oh, I can't. Yes, I can. It's Baron Zemo.
He's not Baron Zemo.
Baron Zemo?
He's Baron Zemo's son, isn't he?
No, that's Baron Zemo.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. Who creates Winter Soldier.
It's just Zemo in this instance, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to go too deep on that. I think
No, we don't need to get into that.
I think he's the most badass villain. But the best villain is Killmonger. Hands down. Like, I don't think...
I had him first, but I needed to use Black Panther for a different thing, so...
I figured either one of us was going to choose, so I was going to go down with, that path when it came, but I think Killmonger has everything, a villain needs to. He has a reason to be doing what he's doing.
Again, he's the hero of his own story. I mean, he's a terrible hero in his own story because he's a murderer, but at the same time, to him, in his mind, he's the hero. He's doing what he thinks is right.
Well, and he's the first villain that I've seen the MCU do where it's just like, okay, I can see why this dude is genuinely like this, instead of just kind of being a psychopath or, he had some serious shit happen to him, some heavy stuff, and people, he's
Michael
broken,
B. Jordan's
man.
Fantastic too.
So good. He plays that character so well, and
I saw a lot of people have hate for how Michael B. Jordan played it, and I don't get it. I loved it.
I thought he was great. He had a couple lines that were a little corny.
So one point that was made about some of those corny lines that I saw, it was Chris Ryan from The Ringer pointed this out. He said, if you look at it as this is this kid that's been on his own, growing up, knowing what he wants to do for, let's say, 15 years, making these speeches in front of a mirror to himself and just rehearsing and rehearsing and rehearsing and killing and killing and killing until he can get there. He's this disaffected person that has no idea how to actually lead people and give a speech like that. But he's been practicing it in his head his whole life. So when he gets the chance to actually do it, it's going to come out corny because he's not actually that type of person. It's just this, like, he goes back to this rehearsed thing in the back of his head. And, like, if you look at it from like that, you're like, okay, yeah, that makes total sense.
That's amazingly well said.
Shout out Chris Ryan. I'm sure you're listening.
Thanks, man. Yeah, that was awesome. I'm glad to have that context when it comes to Killmonger. That kind of makes it makes him a little better deeper, hero. Yeah. And I love the fact. Yes, villain. Sorry. I love the fact that he achieved what he set out to do, like 95% of the way. He could die knowing that he didn't necessarily fail.
Yeah. Maybe just ease into it a little bit next time, Killmonger.
Yeah. I think he would have lived, but I did like that he didn't accept, T'Challa's plea to help him. And he's just like, fuck you, son. I'm gonna watch the sunset over my country too. Like, this is my country too, no matter what you say, even though you defeated me, and die in peace. And I had mad respect for that.
Yeah, he accomplished what he set out to accomplish. Like I said, though, he could have eased into it a little, maybe have conversations with T'Challa about how you think it's best to go about expanding your reach. You know, there's a lot of things to do besides just like, let's send out weapons to everybody and have them start killing people.
Yeah, he took it from A to Z so quick.
Yeah,
He has no sense of diplomacy, but as a kid that basically grew up on the streets and in tough situations.
Right, yeah, you wouldn't have any sense of diplomacy.
No, I'd be like, what's up, son? Let's box. And that's about it.
And that's what we get from Killmonger. And I think, just in the grand scheme of things, the correct answers to this question of best villain is Eric Killmonger and or Loki. And now Thanos a little bit, and I think after Endgame's over, it will only be Thanos. Mm-hmm. But like Loki and Killmonger got the most room to breathe, and I think the reaction to Loki has helped the MCU because Loki had like 3 movies to grow as a villain. No other villain lasted more than 1 movie. Loki had the first Thor, and then Avengers, and then Thor 2, and then Thor 3. Like, he's been there, so you can build him up as a character a lot more. And so people saw, like Kevin Feige and the people at Marvel saw how fans responded to Loki since he had this rich backstory. So they've started, it was too late for a lot of guys like Ultron or Hela even, but even Hela was a good villain. And
she was a good villain.
Yeah, Hela, Killmonger, like I said, Ghost, like all of them have much richer backstories and make more sense as villains than even someone like the Vulture or Ultron or Malekith from Thor 2, these kind of one-dimensional villains of I'm just evil because I'm evil and you have to beat me because you're the good guy.
Yeah, I'm in your way, take me out, what up?
Yeah, and Loki in the first Thor even had a little bit of that, but then they got to build him out through Avengers and, 3 Thor movies. But even in the Iron Man, you had Ironmonger in the first one, you had Whiplash and what was Justin Hammer? Yeah, and then in Iron Man 3 you had the Mandarin Extremis. So nobody ever got any room to breathe. It was just you were there, you got defeated, and then you were gone. But Loki got time to breathe.
Yeah, you were the villain of the movie instead of the villain of the MCU. And Loki was the big time villain in Avengers. He caused some serious fucking calamity.
Yeah, he did, and they're still not carrying villains over. Like Hela didn't get carried over, Ghost didn't carry over, Killmonger didn't carry over, but they're taking the time in those movies to give them rich backstories at least.
They learned their lesson,
which is nice.
And I think that's a great point because it makes the movies better in the end.
It does, and that's why people like the villains from these movies. Now, I'll say Captain Marvel kind of took a step back in that, like, I thought Jude Law's character wasn't built out as well as it could have been, or the weird. Have you seen Captain Marvel yet?
Nope. And I've heard a lot about it though. I'm not worried about spoilers, honestly.
Oh no, I'm not going to spoil it, but there's like this weird AI entity that they enter, which is also kind of a villain. So it's kind of they weren't built out great. I can't even really explain that.
I heard that's why. Did the Skrulls kind of shitty.
I kind of like the Skrulls actually.
I loved the Skrulls in the comics, so I'm eager to see how that'll turn out. Like if it'll kind of have transition
I want them
all.
To be gone. Honestly, I don't want to get into Secret Invasion, Secret Wars, anything like that because
that was like the best series of that entire line.
It is in the comics. It is in the comics, but I don't think the MCU can handle. Well, this guy was just a Skrull the whole time, so everything he did doesn't matter. Like I don't want to see that in my movies. In comics, you can do that because you can pick a point in the comics where they started being a Skrull. Like say
they
Captain
reboot
America
constantly.
Right,
so
right, they reboot constantly. Let's say Captain America's a Skrull at some point, right?
Mm-hmm. Which he is in Secret Invasion.
Right, yeah. Everyone is in Secret Invasion. So let's say that happened in 1974. He became a Skrull, and up through Secret Invasion, whenever it was in the 90s, he was a Skrull. So for 20 years, he's a Skrull, and everything he's doing are Skrull things. He still has his character background starting in the 1930s when he's fighting Hitler. So he's still got 40 years of, character development that is the Captain America character. If you bring that into the movies, you don't have 40 years of history to build off of. You have 1, maybe 2 movies of like, yeah, they did all this stuff in their solo movie, but it actually didn't happen because they were a Skrull, so they were just pretending.
That wouldn't make any sense.
So now this character is not actually developed. We thought the character was developed, but they're not because they were a different person that whole time. So I think it will just get too heavy and too hard to control. It's the same kind of thing you run into with time travel a lot.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I never
looked at it from
the time frame.
Yeah, I think it would be too hard to handle and to get people to buy in of like, oh, this person's this person, but they're not really this person. They're actually this person.
They've been faking it the whole time.
Yeah.
But why?
Right. What?
10 movies
they have
later.
to have a reason for doing that, and it can't. That answer can't come 10 movies later.
No, definitely not. Or
22.
So
let's go into best abilities, best power. This I took as the most powerful, but it could have also been taken as favorite, what you would want. So, what do you got for it?
I looked at it as the best utility power, so like the most useful / powerful, and I put Scarlet Witch.
Oh, hey, we tied. I picked Scarlet Witch too.
Damn it!
That's okay. Which movie did you pick?
Honestly, I picked. Sorry, I drew a blank. Infinity War.
I did too.
Damn.
She got the most burn in that one.
She's such a cool character in the comics, and I thought Elizabeth Olsen does a pretty good job with her.
Besides her like fluctuating accent, she does a great job.
She doesn't even have one anymore.
No, but I love it's just slowly declined.
I wish they would still play on her kind of like creepy voodoo type shit like they did when she first was introduced, the flexing fingers and the weird music and stuff. Like I like that about her.
Yeah, now it's just red beams appear and something happens.
She could fly and it's taking it a little too far, but she's super powerful. I just wish
her power is literally anything she can think. She's basically Green Lantern. Like anything she can think of, she can make.
Yeah,
happen.
And she's a telekinetic powerhouse, and obviously is very talented with those powers. So she knows how to utilize them in every facet of her game. And yeah, I think she's the most effective anywhere you put her, like underwater, in space, anywhere she'd be effective.
Yeah, because her powers are just they don't play into, because in the comics she's a mutant, so she can do a little bit more, and it's more closely related to actual witchcraft, but they're trying to keep her grounded a little bit here.
Yeah.
So I get that.
Keep it real.
And they don't want to make her look too weird so that people don't buy toys and cosplay as her. So they want to make her somewhat appealing. That they could have done a better job building up the relationship between her and Vision. They just don't have a lot of time for it, I guess.
No, I don't think they have much chemistry either.
No, Paul Bettany's like 30 years older than Elizabeth Olsen too.
It's creepy. It's really weird. And Vision in the like when they get together, Vision's kind of young. Like he looks like a youngish man, you know what I mean? And Paul Bettany does not look like a youngish man robot.
I noticed this when we did the Infinity War episode, whenever that was. Go back and listen to that also.
Yeah.
I had mentioned that it looked like they kind of used the de-aging technology on him a little bit to make it look not so creepy.
Got to get them liver spots off there.
Yeah. But it's a weird dynamic. Because he's a robot and she's weird. So, but they did a pretty good job building as much as they could. I liked in Infinity War when she finally came down and you get that great line from Okoye of why was she up there the whole time?
Yeah, she's fucking nasty when she throws those giant like machines that are rolling over everything. Just throws them up in the air, no problem.
But yeah, she can just do. There's not a lot to say. Especially because we agree, like, she has the best power. She can do almost anything. And I've had an argument about this before, the only more powerful person may be Vision, because he doesn't have skin and organs and blood. Like, he's very hard to kill. It takes a alien son of Thanos to even phase him. He's made out of vibranium, and he can do pretty much anything he wants.
But they misuse the shit out of him, man. Venom.
Yeah,
I said Venom. Vision is like a trump card. He's got the power of Superman. Like he is super fast.
They make him shoot a yellow beam out of his head.
That's like his, I will burn through the earth in one shot type deal instead of
they do a much better job in Civil War of showing his power. In the airport fight, he has a lot to do. The way he when Hawkeye shows up to take Scarlet Witch away for the fight from like the Avengers facility, he just blasts Hawkeye through the ground, through half the Earth, it looks like. And they do a much better job in Civil War of building up how powerful he actually is. And then Infinity War is just like, oh, he got stabbed by this dude, so he can't do anything else.
Yeah, man. He got his ass whooped by whatever his name was for like 15 minutes. Whereas
I
Scarlet
still have
Witch
no idea what his name is. He's the only one I don't know what his name is. Because you got Ebony Maw, who's the dude that can move things with his mind. Cull Obsidian, who's the big dude. And then Proxima Midnight's the lady. No idea what the other dude is. Because they don't ever name them in the
Goblin.
movie.
Yeah. He was not a cool character. And Vision should have worked that dude. He should have whooped his ass.
Well, yeah, he's got super strength. He's super fast. He can fly. He's got a beam out of his head. Like, he can do anything. And he's not a human.
Exactly. I mean, he can take incredible punishment. He's basically immortal. I just don't understand it. Whereas, like, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I think that's what they had to do to make him vulnerable, is they had to stab him because they need the mind, like Thanos needs to get the Mind Stone, and if he's all powerful, how's Thanos going to get the Mind Stone? So they have to get this guy in there quick to stab him so you can show, hey, he's vulnerable now.
But dude, Thanos beat the shit out of the Hulk in hand-to-hand combat. Like, I would have so believed
Hulk's not made out of vibranium.
But it's the Hulk.
So
it's the
I agree.
Hulk.
I think he could have beat the shit out of Vision, but he still wouldn't have got the Mind Stone. If Vision can phase, if he can use his super strength, if he can fly, I don't think you can get the Mind Stone out of him. I think you have to hamper him somehow.
I think Thanos would have won in the end because, first and foremost, Thanos is a tactician.
And Thanos needed to win for the movie to make sense.
Exactly. But I would have much rather have seen Thanos go at Vision at full strength and still take the Mind Stone, because seeing Thanos beat the Hulk down to where he doesn't even want to turn into the Hulk anymore, and then taking out Vision would have really exponentially increased.
Would have showed you like Thanos is the real deal.
Especially when you add the snap to it, it's like, how the fuck are they gonna come back from that?
Yeah, I could see that. If he just like physically beats down Vision and then takes the Mind Stone and then snaps right after it. Like, I get it with the scene with Scarlet Witch, taking the Mind Stone and killing him, and then having to relive that as Thanos kills him. But I agree, it may have had more impact if when Thanos revives him using the Time Stone, if he also has to like actually physically beat him.
Yeah, fight for his life once again.
You got to give yellow sword guy something to do, though.
Yeah, you gotta give him something to do.
They gave him something. All right, best alien.
Do it.
Ego, the living planet. So let me just preface this with not a good dude. Not a good dude at all.
No, he's kind of
terrible
a prick.
person. Yeah, terrible person. But he's a fucking planet.
Mm-hmm.
He can't be better than a planet. Like, he can do whatever he wants when he's in his planet form. He can grow trees. He can make like weird PowerPoint presentations of all the chicks he's boned.
Exactly. I mean, dude's got a ton of game, and at the same time, he can do anything. Like, he can manipulate time and space, create things from matter that...
He could just, like, fly on the back of a seahorse-looking thing,
he's a god.
Say hi to Peter Quill. Yeah, so, that was he's a Celestial, and, he's the best alien.
That's a great choice.
I don't know that you'd have an argument against him.
I do, though.
Other than, like, maybe somebody with some sympathetic characteristics, or, somebody a little charismatic, anything like that. Maybe you could argue.
No, I do think Kurt Russell nailed it as Ego, because when they said that he's gonna be Ego, I thought it was really odd.
Like, how's a person a planet?
Well, how is a planet gonna? I don't give a fuck about this planet. Like, they never that I knew of showed him as a person, and connecting Star-Lord to him and all that stuff, I thought was great.
Because he's not Star-Lord's father in the comics. It's Jason, right? In the comics.
I honestly have no idea.
I read a bunch on it when the first movie came
Guardians
out.
Fan.
Yeah, I read a bunch on it when the first Guardians came out, and but I like what they did with Ego. It was really heavy-handed at times, but I think what they were trying to set up was the right way to go about it. I just think they didn't succeed in portraying it the whole time.
No, I don't think the writing for that movie in general was all that good. But
it was just super heavy-handed with the family stuff, and it's like, we get it.
They focused on it way too much. They didn't. The Guardians didn't have enough to do. It was more.
When they split them up, movie. And
which I didn't really like. But Kurt Russell did a super good job as this kind of, I mean, he plays
Shout
the
out
personification.
Kurt Russell.
You're my dude. When he's just, I believe that he is a being that's lived for thousands of years, since the beginning of time,
just
basically.
Boning chicks, trying to find a successor.
Just trying to cruise the galaxy and
boning chicks and killing babies.
Having
what else have you got
babies.
to do?
But, so, yeah, I think that's a pretty good choice.
All right, who you got?
Drax the Destroyer.
Nice.
And I will say, for you comic book nerds, Drax in the comics is a human who is like...
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's like imbued with the spirit of Drax the Destroyer. But in the MCU, which is what we're going, the framework we're using, Drax is an undefined alien species. So...
The last of his species, right?
Yeah,
like Gamora?
As far as I know. And I love Drax's character. Dave Bautista is so funny.
Dave Bautista just got it. I don't know how, but he, like, that's such a hard character to get of, like, you don't understand anything, but you understand everything. Now go pull that off and be funny with Chris Pratt and Bradley Cooper and Chris Hemsworth in there. And, hold your own. Yeah,
go for it.
Hold your own on that.
Well, especially with an actor like Dave Bautista, who is a WWE
who's not an actor.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought it was really interesting the way they used him, because he's not an alien that's all powerful and undefeatable and this and that. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like a lot of the aliens are OP, especially standing next to our human Marvel heroes. But he's not real. I mean, he's this big hulking softy, basically. And he's got something to fight for. Like, through all his appearances, his sole focus has been to kill Thanos. And sure as shit, he went after it as soon as he saw him, like a dummy. But
yeah,
I really like Drax's character.
And Drax from which movie?
I am choosing Guardians 1.
Okay, good choice. That was his best performance. They overplayed it a little in the second one, except I really liked the invisible thing. I guess that was Infinity War.
That was my favorite line.
And then he didn't have enough to do in Infinity War just because there's so much going on.
But he's not really... He's a B character.
He's like the E character in Infinity War, I think.
A Q. He's the Q character.
He's like the fourth member of the fourth most important team. Yeah,
he's an extra.
He's really Aegon the Unlikely.
Shade.
This was our Twitter question of the night: is who's the best alien in the MCU? Our options for the poll were Korg, obviously from Thor Ragnarok, Thanos, and Drax the Destroyer. And Drax won with 37% of the votes. Korg had 26%, and Thanos had 21%. And then obviously we had for comments. We had some good comics from Mikey Geek. We had this guy, which is a gif of Luis telling some sweet stories. He thinks he's a Skrull, so that's how he fits in the alien.
Yeah, if he turns out to be a Skrull,
he's the only one that I'll accept being. I'll accept him being a Skrull just because that'd be kind of cool.
That'd be hilarious.
This is why he knows everything and can tell these stories.
And it's so weird.
Yeah. Our friend Colby Mack from the Colby Told Me podcast at Colby Told Me says hands down it's Groot. I don't know. As I told him, yeah, he's a bit one-dimensional. He just says one thing, man. Like, get some new words. You can't learn one new word in 3 movies.
I am Groot.
Groot.
Shout out Colby Mack. Good choice.
Yep. Then we got the Long Box of Darkness. Dark Long Box. Sorry about that. He says Taserface. Just kidding. For him, it's personally Gamora, which I told him I didn't put Gamora in the poll because I thought she would win running away, because as a character, she's the best. She's the best developed character. She has a reason to be doing everything she's doing. She's a badass assassin. I always want to call her Rosario. Yeah, I always want to call her Rosario Dawson, but that's not the right name.
No, it's like Zoe
Saldana. Yeah, Zoe Saldana is fantastic in the role. Like, I think she would have had like 80% of the vote if we included her, because she is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Mudd says the Collector, which that's a good choice.
I liked Del Toro's depiction of the Collector.
Yeah,
he's just not. He doesn't really have that much to do. He's always been a periphery character.
Yeah,
like major periphery.
He's definitely a off the bench streaky shooter. Like Jason Terry is really who he is. Eddie House, not even Jason Terry. He's Eddie House. He comes in, he may hit 5 threes, but he may also miss 6 threes.
He's Jimmer Fredette.
No, Eddie House. He's got an NBA career. He's just not a great one.
Poor guy.
And then the chasing movies at the movie chaser says Gamora as well with heart emojis. Shout out Gamora.
Heart for eyeball emojis.
Heart for eyeball. Yes. So thank you for all the interaction on Twitter. We love it. Keep it up at APA something. We usually do a poll before we record so we can talk about what you guys think. So keep them coming. We like that.
We love it, guys. We love the interaction, and we always try to respond in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, sometimes I won't, like for these ones, I won't give like really good responses because I know we're going to talk about it, so I don't want to like bury my lead of what I'm going to say on the show. So I'll give you a little bit, but not too much.
Yep, we'll give you a nibble, but not the whole thing.
So, down to it. Best movie for all the marbles. What do you got?
Thor Ragnarok. I know what you're gonna pick. Ugh! Don't hit me with that, brother. That movie is dope. I loved that movie.
I like Thor.
I love that whole movie. I love the soundtrack. I loved the way Chris Hemsworth portrayed Thor. Like I saw both of the first 2 Thor movies, and they were not that good.
Thor 2 is really bad.
So fucking bad. And
Thor 1's fine.
Getting up to damn near walk out of the theater, and then my wife, it's like, honey, we paid for this. Let's at least watch it. It's going to mean something in the future, which I don't remember a thing from that movie. But I love that they kind of, I love that they kind of went the more comedic route. The Hulk is more intelligent.
Definitely saved Thor. Like,
big time.
Thor would have 100% been dying in Infinity War if not for Taika Waititi and what happened in Ragnarok.
Right.
But now he may still die because they might be done with those Avengers, but it's not because his movies aren't going to be marketable in the future.
No, definitely not. And in the way they combine the color scheme and just the pace of the movie and introducing, what's his name? Valkyrie was cool. I liked her. Grandmaster. I liked that the Hulk was more intelligent. The Grandmaster was a hilarious character, and you get Korg and stuff like that.
That Hulk being more intelligent, I think that's going to come back. I think we're going to get something close to Professor Hulk in Endgame.
I think it's definitely going to be Professor Hulk.
Like,
there's no way.
I don't know. I just don't know that they'll call it that. I think it will be the idea behind it, though, of it's Hulk's body and strength with Banner's brain.
I think they'll do a throwaway line like, "Oh, you're like Professor." It'll be Peter Parker. Oh, it's maybe. Professor Hulk.
Yeah, I hope they don't shoehorn that in there. The MCU has been pretty good about not like winking too heavily at the audience.
It's the last of the line, man. They're gonna.
But yeah, I agree. I like the idea that Banner and Hulk have a lot to come to terms with. From what I've read, the Hulk wasn't scared of Thanos. The Hulk was sick of helping out Banner at the last minute. Is why he wasn't coming out. Yeah, being used. My only point to that is like in a deleted scene from Iron Man 2, I want to say. Or it was the Incredible Hulk. He, goes up to the Arctic and shoots himself in the head, and the Hulk basically comes out before he can die. Mm-hmm. And that's referenced in Avengers. Banner says, I put a bullet in my mouth and the other guy spit it out. So like that exists. That's canon. Why didn't he just try and kill himself and then Hulk will come out? Like Hulk will have to come out. Bit morbid, but like if you really need Hulk in this battle, there's a surefire way to get him.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Honestly, I think they probably forgot about that.
I think they also just don't want to show a main character trying to kill himself.
No, you can't do that in Infinity. The whole, Banner's just off to the side, bashing his skull on a rock, like running into the crowd of crazy demon-looking things. Like that'd be gnarly, man.
We need Black Widow to do more. Scarlet, come here.
Yeah,
hit me really hard with those weird batons you have.
Snap my neck. Go for it.
There's more for her to do. I like Ragnarok. It's fine. They go over the top with the jokes too sometimes. Like they make it too jokey at times.
Yes, it takes away from the stakes of the movie.
Yeah.
But I couldn't lie. I laughed at pretty much every joke they had, or at least I'm like, that's pretty funny. Yeah, I'm not sitting there like, oh my god, cringe, like rolling my eyes.
The only one that I was really that far of like this is super cringe was like the third time he stopped telling his story to the fire demon in the beginning so he could spin back around. Yeah. Like I did that like 3 times. I'm like, all right, we got it the first time. It was funny the first time. Don't keep doing it.
I think that was the way they did Thor was so great. Like that was perfect. So I always thought Thor was such a little hard ass. Like
it would have been hard to continue him the way he was in the first 2 movies.
He was just boring.
He's boring in the comics too. I haven't read a lot of Thor comics, but I've read comics where Thor's in them, and it's just like, all right, when does Thor stop talking so we can get to better stuff?
I've read like 2 Thor comics, and I read a shit ton of comics, so that should say something. So what's yours, brother?
Best movie, Black Panther.
I knew you were gonna choose that. I knew it.
Well, I've been hinting at it kind of the whole time we've been talking, so yeah, it had to be coming. It's to me, it's a perfect movie. I mean, it deserved the Oscar nomination it got. I don't know. We've talked about Black Panther. We did a whole episode on Black Panther. We talked about it before at some other point. I don't know. There's not much else to say about Black Panther other than like it's a fantastic movie and I could watch it pretty much any day of the week and be happy. It's one of those movies where you can pick it up at any time and just get into it. Like you don't have to start it from the beginning. You can start at any moment and be like, okay, there's a cool scene coming. I want to watch it now. And then you're stuck till the end of the movie.
I will not argue that point at all with you.
You get really dope characters introduced in Shuri and Okoye, and Nakia is pretty good. Killmonger is fantastic, as we talked about. What's his nuts is great. Ulysses Claw in M'Baku's pretty cool. Yeah. Claw is fantastic in this. He's out there hawking his mixtape to people. I even liked Martin Freeman as the General agent. Ross. Like, he was really good. Yeah.
That's not General Ross.
It's not General Ross. He's Ross, but he's like a FBI agent Ross.
Bitch boy Ross.
Yeah. General Thunderbolt Ross still has a part. I still have a feeling Red Hulk's going to come sometime.
That would be so
like
fucking
why does this dude keep showing up if Red Hulk's not coming at some point?
That'd be dope.
Maybe it's not till after Endgame, but I want to see Red Hulk because Red Hulk's dope.
Red Hulk dope.
So that's all our superlatives. Best hero we had Spider-Man and somebody else, doesn't matter really because it's Spider-Man. Captain America, that's who. Best villain we had Ghost and shit, I keep forgetting all your things.
Baron Zemo and Killmonger.
And Killmonger, yep. So we had 3 for that. Oh, shit. Best ability, best powers. We both had Scarlet Witch because she's honestly the most powerful and the best at using her powers. Way to go.
She's badass.
Best alien, we got Ego and Drax the Destroyer from the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise. And for best movie, we had Black Panther and something.
Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, see, it was a bad choice. That's why I didn't remember it.
You hater.
I mean, that's why you get to give an award and I get to give an award. Your awards can mean less because they're not as good as mine. So, if that's how you want it to be.
Let's have another Twitter poll. Is Calvin a hater?
Well, on Saturday, we'll put that as the Twitter poll of the upcoming episode of what's the best movie, and we'll see what people think.
I would like to see the results of that poll.
Oh, we're putting it up. Stay tuned to 2 days ago after you're listening to this.
And if make it last 3 days, so they still have a chance.
Yeah, they can go vote on it Monday. Yep. Good idea.
Go final vote.
So that's all for our superlatives, but we have a few other things we want to talk about. The Disney Fox merger has officially become official.
Yes.
They inherit all those properties, Fantastic Four, X-Men. Who are you most looking forward to joining the MCU? It's not going to happen in Endgame. Endgame's already been shot. It's been cut. It's done. Nobody's showing up in Endgame. Maybe a post-credit stinger. Maybe. But I don't think so.
Okay, I have 5 people.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm sorry.
Go for it.
Okay, first, I would love to see Daredevil. I'm going to move through him quick, except for
but he's not part of the merger. He already exists in the MCU. He's just a street level.
That's a good point.
He doesn't get called up to the big leagues.
Remove him. X-Men.
Fuck you, Daredevil. Okay.
All of them? Now, man. That show was dope.
Yeah, Daredevil.
Not all the X-Men. Specifically, Wolverine, because I'm a huge Wolverine fanboy.
I've got a thought on that.
But more so, Nightcrawler. Yep. I think the MCU would do Nightcrawler so fucking good. And if they can do it right,
Bam!
he'll be my favorite character again.
Yeah, I like Nightcrawler too.
He's so awesome. They could get that swashbuckler dopeness. But this is the one I think is more likely than anything, and I think it'll be the Watcher. I don't know if you out there, you guys know, but the Watcher is he watches space and time, and so
he doesn't do anything about it. He just watches.
Oh, he does stuff about it, but what he does is he's basically no, he does. If it's one of those situations where it's the universe could be destroyed, that's when he shows up. He maintains that balance. But there's a storyline where Galactus is gonna destroy everything, and the Silver Surfer has a change of heart, and he's trying to defeat Galactus himself, so he's holding him off as best as he can, and then the Watcher shows up and just fucking wipes the floor with Galactus, and it's so dope. And I think we might get an introduction to Galactus in this new movie.
See, that could be an end of credit stinger, because that's something where you don't have to have an actor necessarily, because like Thanos' first appearance was not Josh Brolin. So, like, you could do kind of the same thing where it's just kind of the CGI big head monster kind of thing, where then you get an actor later to actually play him when he actually is going to do something. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be kind of cool. So, yeah, that's I'm on the same boat. I want to see Fantastic Four. I want to see them done in an MCU way. I don't necessarily think they're done wrong in the first two movies. The movies were not good, but
bad casting.
But they had the characters right. They just the actors weren't good enough to do what they needed to do, I guess. No. I guess Johnny Storm and Michael Chiklis, they were both pretty good. Jessica Alba was completely phoning in the whole time, and I don't know the other dude's name that played Mr. Fantastic, but he was just kind of out of his depth, you could tell.
He was Mr. Forgettable.
Yeah. And but I want to see them. I want to see them done well.
That'd be cool.
The Fan Four Stick, that doesn't even count. Like, that's not a thing. That was bad. They had great actors in that one, but they completely missed the character. Like, they did the opposite. They had Miles Teller and Kate Mara and Michael B. Jordan, and they have this set up for they have these great actors over there, and then they're just like, it doesn't matter who the characters are. It doesn't matter what they're doing.
It's going to be garbage. Yeah, throw the garbage.
So I'd like to see them done well, and along those lines, I want to see Silver Surfer and Galactus, and not a cloud monster Galactus. I really like Silver Surfer. I actually like Silver Surfer's portrayal in The Rise of the Silver Surfer. The rest of the movie around it was just garbage, so it didn't really matter.
They did his character pretty good, and I love Silver Surfer. My dad used to be in the comics, and he'd always tell me these great stories, like X-Men 111, 112, and 113, which is an epic battle with Magneto. He knows everything about Silver Surfer, and he would just spin these tales from the comics.
You get a Silver Surfer toy. It's something I don't have.
I want the Silver Surfer Funko Pop, and if you guys want to send it to me, I would love you.
At the comic book store I go to in Panama City, which I don't know the name of off the top of my head, I should if I'm going to plug them. They're closed right now anyways because a hurricane hit and destroyed it, but they'll be back eventually.
Oh no!
Yeah, I got them on. I follow them on Facebook, so like they're saying, they have all their stuff. They just weren't allowed to move back into their building because the building was condemned. But like all their stuff survived. So eventually they'll be back. But I go to the store. They have this huge life-size Silver Surfer statue basically, and it's awesome.
That'd be so dope.
It's like half the reason I go in there because it's so cool.
I'm there. That'd be awesome. The only like life-size anything I've ever seen comic book related is I went to St. Louis WizCon or St. Louis Comic Con, and there was a life-size Hulk in his Thor Ragnarok get-up. And I mean, I have a picture with it somewhere. I might have to post that on Twitter for you guys, but I'll have to mark out my wife because I made her pose next to it.
Yeah, so that comic book store, if you're in Panama City or around Panama City, New Force Comics, it looks like they may have just reopened, if I'm reading the internet right. So go check it out. They got a lot of cool stuff over there. A lot of action figures and collectibles, which is what I go to comic book stores for mostly. So they got a lot of they got a ton of Star Wars stuff, and they've got a ton of just like more under the radar things. Like I can find any action figure on Amazon and pay the same price, but they have a lot of things like that I can't find on Amazon, or I'd have to do a super deep search on eBay to try and find. So I always go there. I always buy more stuff than I need and come back whenever I'm in the Panhandle.
That's what local comic book shops are for, my man.
Yeah. So that's check them out if you're in the Panama City area ever, because they got good stuff.
I won't have to do that.
Getting back to, so I have a counterpoint to your X-Men. I want to see the X-Men with the MCU. I want to see different X-Men though. Like, I'm ready for them to do something different. I'm kind of sick of it's Xavier versus Magneto for 3 movies. Like, let's find a new villain. Let's do something better than that. Like, they almost tried it with Apocalypse, but it still came really down to Xavier and Magneto. And then Apocalypse was just like this side dude that wreaked havoc.
I hated that movie.
It wasn't a good movie.
Here's what they need to do.
Dark Phoenix looks like it's going to be even worse, too.
Yes, but here's what they need to do. They need to have Mr. Sinister. And
which
the Sentinels.
They teased at the end of that movie.
Yes,
Apocalypse.
If they have Sinister and the Sentinels and stuff like that, they'll be super cool. And if they go the route where I would love to see a new Wolverine rendition, but if he's like an older, plays the teacher part more, because there's a lot of cool young X-Men who are badass, and I'd love to see him on the big screen.
Yeah, I'd like to get away from Wolverine being the focal point. And I think they kind of need to, because Hugh Jackman did such a good job. I think he kind of needs to come in as a side character.
We need like 10 years before we do a Wolverine-focused movie.
Yeah.
And at that point, you know, maybe we can cross that bridge when it comes, but I'd much rather prefer him to be a side character for now and like help Rogue and Iceman and Nightcrawler and love Iceman. Love Iceman, Pyro, and stuff like that. Like, they have a ton. Jubilee. Like, that'd be, Negasonic Teenage Warhead. I could go on and on and on. But he needs to be more of a Cyclops in Deadpool 2. Or not Cyclops, but Colossus, I'm sorry.
Right.
Just kind of the periphery, teacher, comic relief type guy. Obviously not for Logan, but that's what that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff you can do with him that's not like, let's try and replicate Hugh Jackman, because that's a bad idea. You're not going to replicate Hugh Jackman.
You will never do that, and it will just make the movie suck.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm glad we're on the same page there. So the last thing, and most important, what are your thoughts on Endgame? What do you think is going to happen?
I'm going to give a short and sweet answer, and here it is. I think it'll be an epic conclusion. I think the good guys will win, but at a major cost. And then I'm guessing we'll see the Eternals and Galactus and the Silver Surfer. So I think our major mainline heroes are gonna lose or gonna die. So that's your major cost. But I think that in the end they're gonna
like our Phase 1 heroes are gonna not be around anymore.
No, our favorite stalwarts. So this is like, as an audience, this is new territory for us just as much as it is for them. So I think with them dying off, like, that'll be impactful because we don't know what's to come. Like, we're hopeful and we think it's going in the right direction, but shit, Phase 2 could crash and fucking burn.
Phase 5.
3.
5. Yeah.
I thought it was Phase 4.
No, Endgame is the end of Phase 4.
Okay. It shows what I know. I suck.
That's okay. It's very hard to keep track of, and they don't help tell you either. I don't like to think too much about it because I don't want to be disappointed. It's the same thing with Star Wars. Like, all these people with Star Wars that theorize, and this is probably the 5th time I've said this recently, that theorized about what's going to happen in The Last Jedi and who Snoke is and who Rey's parents are. Like, they all theorized and made up these things in their heads, and then none of that came true. So they were disappointed in the movie, even though the movie was good for what it did.
What it was. Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
it was good for what it did. It just didn't give you what you wanted. So now you're disappointed. I don't like to do that to myself. So I try not to theorize. And that's what happens. That's what's happened with Game of Thrones for the past couple seasons, is like, I think all this great, well thought out stuff is going to happen. And they're just not able to do that because of the storytelling limitations you have in television versus a book. They can't do all this stuff that, that George R.R. Martin could do.
And we wish could have done.
Right. And they, they've colored themselves into some corners too with Dorne and whatnot. But I just think, I don't want to think too much about it, but I think there's 2 ways it can go. I think it can go your way, or I think we end with some House of M type resetting of the set. Wanda has a break. I would love to see, because she has so much power, as we talked about. She's the most powerful. She can do anything she wants. I think, like, if they bring everybody back from the snap in whatever way that is, and they're reliving these moments to stop Thanos from getting the stones, and they have to, because that's what a lot of people think this plot's going to go, is they're going to have to go back through time to try and refight for the stones and make sure Thanos doesn't get them to basically stop the snap from happening. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but here's my path to Wanda and House of M. They have to go back through time. They do all this stuff, and they get to the point where Thanos is coming for the Mind Stone, and she has to relive killing him again, and she can't do that. Like, she just break. Like, this is the third time, and maybe it even happens more. Maybe she gets stuck in a time loop where she keeps killing him, and she just breaks and resets the whole universe. And that's how Endgame ends.
That'd be intense.
The only problem with that idea is it kills Black Panther 2 and Spider-Man Far From Home and any future Captain Marvel movies. Like, those can't exist because now reality is something completely different than it was before.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you how is Peter Parker still the same Peter Parker, but Iron Man is not Tony Stark anymore? Iron Man's Riri Williams now somehow, but Peter Parker's still Spider-Man and still remembers all the thing he remembers, but nobody else remembers about Tony Stark. Like, so I don't think they could really pull it off in a way that makes sense to keep the movies going forward. I'd still like to see it. I think it would be dope.
That'd be super cool. And I think in the future, like maybe this next couple phases, like when the X-Men are introduced.
She has one of the Disney Plus TV shows, right?
Yeah. Okay. So she's going to be around for a while. And I think if they establish an X-Men universe...
God, they've got to be paying these people an ass load of money to do those TV shows.
Yeah.
If you think about it, like Elizabeth Olsen, Scarlett Johansson, Sebastian Stan, which he's not a movie star, but Anthony Mackie's a movie star. Like, all these people are just like foregoing movies to be in these Disney Plus TV shows now.
They're making
They've
bank,
just got to
bro.
be paying an ass load of money for those shows.
So much money. And you know those are going to get syndicated and be on a streaming service forever. So they're going to get some royalties, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Royalties.
Yeah.
But, sorry, I got to finish this thought or I'm going to go crazy. If they introduce X-Men and do it well, House of M in the future would be so dope. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, House of M is very complicated, though.
Super
and it would be
complicated.
very hard for like casual fans who just like to see the movies and watch superheroes beat up villains. Like, they're not going to get House of M.
No,
so
that'd be really 22 movies.
It'd be super hard to like sell that to a mass audience. I think the next big event that everything will lead up to, and we've talked about this before, after Endgame, we'll get something where it's Avengers versus X-Men.
That'd be super tight.
Because I think that's the easiest to sell to the masses. It's like, look, we got this team and we got this team. It's going to be a very different Avengers team than what we have now, but it's still going to be these two teams fighting, and that's going to be cool.
Super cool.
The last thing I think we'll get, I think we see Namor in Endgame somehow, some way. I think he's coming.
That'd be interesting, and if they get the casting right, that could be super cool.
I think it's got to just be a cameo or a small thing, like, because there's been no cast announcement, obviously, for it. There's no IMDb credit for it, anything like that. So it would have to be something super small for whoever's playing him not to take credit on this movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I just feel like either we get Namor or we get a mention that Atlantis exists, something like that, just so to tease, because Namor's definitely going to play a big part in Black Panther 2, I think.
I'd rather have just a tease. Like, I don't even want to see him yet. I'd rather just have a tease. Know he exists, and I want them to define him, whether he's a mutant, where he is in a lot of the comics, or he is just an Atlantean.
Right.
Like,
Are they Atlanteans in the MCU? I know,
He's the king of Atlantis.
Yeah. I know Aquaman is. I didn't know if they went a different way with Namor. I've never read Namor, so I just know him and T'Challa don't get along.
Yeah. I could see that. I could see that big time.
All right, that is our MCU movie superlatives. Thank you for listening. Check out Endgame. We are going to be doing, not next week, but the week after, we'll be doing our Endgame review. It's going to be me, it's going to be Nick, and Eric is making a comeback. Me and Eric are going to be live in the same room, but Nick lives too far away. He didn't want to fly down to Florida just to sit in the same room with us for some reason. I don't know. Some like he's got a baby on the way and he needs money. He can't spend it on frivolous plane tickets. I don't know. I don't get it.
True that.
But
I have an expensive baby.
We're going to have a lot of fun doing Avengers review in 2 weeks. So come back for that. It's going to be the end of an era. It'll probably be like a 6-hour podcast.
I hope so, because it's going to be so much fun. I cannot wait, dude. I'm going to have so much shit to talk about.
Yeah. It's going to be hard because I'm not going to be able to take notes, so I'm just going to have to go off memory. But I think with the three of us, everything will flow. We'll be good. So come back for that. Thank you for listening. Check us out on Twitter. Make sure you vote on that poll that's coming out about the best movie. Or it already came out, so yeah, whatever. At APA Something on Twitter. You can always email us feedback to a podcast about something at gmail.com. And hey, is there something else new going on?
Something else new going on. We have this thing called a TeePublic storefront.
TeePublic.
Yes, sir.
/user/APA Something. You'll find our stuff.
Check it out. There's some super cool shirts on there, and I had to get one for myself. It's
you
mighty
can get
snazzy.
Shirts. You can get coffee mugs. You can get I ordered a notebook because I don't need any more shirts. So I ordered a notebook and a hoodie. So I'm excited for those things to come. You can get stickers. You can get laptop bags, phone cases. There's all kinds of shit with our logo and our sign-offs. There's one with just the logo and one with the sign-off. So there's 2 designs to choose from. We'll have more designs in the future. But check that out at TeePublic. You can just search a podcast about something. You can go to our website, apodcastaboutSomething.com. There's a merch button at the top, or you can go to the About page, and under the How Do You Support the Show section, there is a link to the TeePublic store as well. So lots of ways to get there. Check it out. We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/podcast about something. Check that out. We just did the first in the series rewatch of Game of Thrones. We call it War Get To Me. Season 8, Episode 1 is available there now for the $1 tier.
Check that out. It's basically a whole nother episode. We went over our little time limit because we have 3 separate series.
We tried to keep them short. It didn't work for Game of Thrones.
Yep. So if you're there, also check out Random Reviews. That's a fun one. And what else we got, Calvin?
Pilot Projections.
Pilot Projections.
So we've got a couple of every one. We're about to record another random review right after this one, so be sure to check that out. The Random Reviews and Pilot Projections, there's the $3 tier, but that's not really that much to give us if you really want to hear our thoughts on random ass movies and TV shows.
And if you really want to support the show, that helps a ton. We appreciate it so much, you guys.
And the last thing to support the show, there is a donate button on the website at podcastaboutsomething.com. On the About page, there's a donate button, not a donut button. It's a donate button.
You still haven't changed it to donut, I see.
No, I'm working on actually pronouncing the word correctly instead of changing it.
Thank God.
So thank you for listening. I think that's all we got for today. Be sure to check out those cats. They provide all the music for a podcast about something.
And you guys stay sassy.
Stay classy.